Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for waiting, and apologies for the slight delay. Just waiting for more people to join, but I think we'll start now. Thank you again. My name is Anushki. If this is the first time we're crossing paths, um, and today we have a really interesting presentation on developing in-house capacity for sustainable ASYCUDA operations. I'd like to introduce to you my colleague, Milton, who is our ASYCUDA expert who is now based in Port Vila in Vanuatu. Milton actually focuses on supporting the development of the single window in uh, in in Vanuatu, and he continues to work closely with the single window team there in integrating different agencies into their system. So their system continues to grow entity or agency by agency. So yeah, so without any further ado, I hand it over to Milton to take you through this topic. And I also encourage all of you to write to us. You can give us any kind of feedback that you have, any ideas or topics that you'd like us to continue to speak on, or do new sessions on. We appreciate any feedback that you may have. Thank you. Milton, over to you.
Thank you, Danushki. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in today to our webinar, Developing In-House Technical Expertise, a Roadmap for Sustainable ASYCUDA Operations. Okay, so without much further ado, I shall start my topic. So I'm going to first introduce the context of the webinar, and then I'm going to talk about what capacity building is and key IT skill requirements that are required for supporting ASYCUDA World, and how to develop these skills and build capacity strategies. So with the current digital world, digital reliance is now a core capability for all our systems. So vendor-only models are whereby an organization relies entirely on an external vendor. These solutions, usually they create bottlenecks and they are more costly and there's more risk, because some of the vulnerabilities that we face from vendor-only models are that development, operation and maintenance, all of it is going to be, you're going to rely on the vendor. So because of this, there can be delays in making some changes, delays in support, which makes it very important that organizations should have some level of IT skills that they have in-house, because this will allow them to change faster, and for their systems, there'll be better uptime and safer data. There are some governments that prefer not to have their data, national data, hosted in a different country than where they are. So with in-house skills, in the case where you are hosting all of your infrastructure and the softwares that you are running, it's safer if you have the skills. So most of the countries in the Pacific at the moment, they have a heavy reliance on donor support. So donor support does play a role in strengthening institutions, but at the same time, it creates a dependency cycle where many organizations would struggle financially if they are not supported by the donors. So some of the structural problems that can arise from this is when the funding ends, some projects can stall and institutional capacity might be lost. So the importance of having in-house expertise. The first one is operational continuity. You have a quick response to system issues without any external delay. Because with in-house staff, instead of waiting for the vendor or the external support to attend to your requests, your local teams can attend to you very quickly. So some companies, they have different levels of support, level 1, level 2, level 3. So for basic everyday tasks like problems with passwords logging in, the in-house staff should be able to quickly deal with those issues. But then for level 3 tasks like system problems, those they can be escalated to an external vendor. So having in-house expertise also reduces reliance on at times expensive external consultants, because in the long run, consultancy may be expensive. So with in-house expertise, you can also develop data sovereignty and security. So you keep sensitive customs data within national control. Customization and adaptability. Local teams can also tailor ASYCUDA to the changing needs more quickly because they are in the environment, so they know the requirements for their environment. Capacity building. If you have in-house expertise, it's easier to also train new employees. So you can empower local talent by hiring local, and also you can build capacity by creating career pathways in IT within the customs organization. So I'll move on to capacity building. So within the UN, we define capacity as the ability to perform functions. That's one. So in our case, the question we would ask ourselves is, can our teams operate and maintain critical IT systems, ASYCUDA in particular? And do you have enough qualified staff with the right tools and the infrastructure to perform your functions? Capacity is also the ability to solve problems. So within your organization, do you also have the capacity to diagnose and fix technical issues without always calling in external consultants? Are there mechanisms for troubleshooting, incident management, and continuous learning? And to achieve objectives. So can IT actively support your national development goals? That is trade facilitation, digital governance, and efficiency. And are IT systems aligned with strategic plans, and can staff contribute to innovations or reforms? So capacity building aims to improve these capacities at different levels: individual, organizational, and societal. So UNCTAD, with the technical cooperation program that it has, the ASYCUDA program with all the countries in the region, we have been providing trainings, both technical and functional trainings. So those are meant to address, to increase capacity on the individuals. But do not consider capacity building only as an activity for just for training, just for building knowledge, but consider it as a process that will allow and enable organizations to do things differently. So it's capacity building is not only about what the organization knows, it's also about how they behave. it's embracing the notion that knowing is not the same as doing. So knowledge and actions often diverge. Like, for example, most people, they know the importance of exercise, but they do not exercise. So in some instances, when people attend trainings and they develop and they're equipped with the knowledge, when they go back to their customs organizations, to their customs agencies, they do not apply that same knowledge. So in this case, that's not effective capacity building because the knowledge is not leading to any action. So in some cases, we can have performance problems within an organization, but without a knowledge deficit, which is to say the individuals were trained adequately, but still the performance has not increased. In cases like this, some capacity building initiatives that can be looked at are like culture change, changing the culture within the organization, or even promoting teamwork or more responsibility sharing. So when you acquire knowledge, you have to start experimenting. You have to learn by doing, you can learn by failing and trying again. The advantage that we have as IT professionals and people that are working with IT systems is that, unlike a doctor, we can back up a system and we work on the backup. So we know that we can experiment however much we want, but we won't compromise the production system as long as we are working on the backup. So most of you all have training environments and development environments for ASYCUDA World, which you can also use to practice. So capacity building, it also involves a mindset shift for you to benefit from emerging technologies, because we always have emerging technologies, but whenever emerging technologies come, we should consider if they're going to be beneficial for us. Most of the times, whenever a new technology comes, we usually look at it via the lens of something that we already know. And at times, we actually limit the ability of that technology, or we don't explore all the possibilities that we can get from the technology. I remember there's a famous quote from Henry Ford, the founder of the Ford Motor Company. He was saying, if I had asked my customers what they needed, they would have said they wanted faster horses. So what he was trying to communicate there was that people, whenever something new comes, they always look at it from the lens of what they already know. So during that time, people were used to horses. So they would have thought that an innovation would be a faster horse. But technologies, usually when new technologies, when they come, they change some constraints, like some constraints that were there previously. Those new technologies will change those constraints. So if those constraints were pain points for us, if they were preventing us from doing our business processes well, then we can embrace those new technologies. So we should always have a mind for capacity building, a mind to embrace new technologies. So for ASYCUDA World, the key IT skills that are required are these. So these skills, they can also be built even for people that have non-technical backgrounds. I have experience with within the telecoms industry, where people were arguing whether it is possible to build capacity within the organization, and by taking a person who's working in another department and then making them work in the IT sector. So within the telecoms organization, I will not name it, 3 individuals were taken from the marketing department. and they were brought to the IT department and to work as programmers. So after 6 months, they had also built the same skills as most of the programmers that had actually acquired degrees for computer science. So it shows that capacity can be built as long as there are willing participants. So one of the key skills required for that is important for ASYCUDA World is system administration. So a system administrator, these are roles that can be found in an environment where ASYCUDA World is being supported. So a system administrator would be responsible for installing, configuring, updating, and managing ASYCUDA on servers. So ASYCUDA is built upon the Java language, and it's portable. It runs on any operating system. So the other skills that are required are server monitoring and performance tuning. I have an example from the Zimbabwe Revenue Authority. So within the Zimbabwe Revenue Authority, if there's any change within the system, source code or any change that has to be done, consultants, whether from UNCTAD or other external consultants, the IT policy is that they never touch the system. All they can do is to guide the local staff. So what this does is if the local staff are always doing the system administration tasks, it means they are going to build capacity. They are by the practice that they are constantly doing, configuring and updating the system. So it is important. I know some of you, you do not host your ASYCUDA environments, but for those who do, it's good practice that the local staff also learns to configure the system, to update the system if there are any updates that need to be done. So backup and disaster recovery planning is also important, also part of a system administrator's role, because in the IT environment, we should always be prepared for the worst. And the worst is that we are going to lose all the data that we have. So we should have a disaster recovery plan in place for when this happens. Another important skill or role is database administration. So ASYCUDA, you can connect it to different database vendors, Oracle, MySQL, MS SQL, Postgres. So it's portable. And it's important that if you are managing your infrastructure, you should have a database administrator that will be in charge of performance tuning, backup and recovery of the DB, and also monitoring things, simple things like usage of the space on the server. Because some of these things can be automated, like if 10% of disk space is now remaining, you get a notification from the server that you are running out of space. So ASYCUDA World is built using the Java language. So an understanding of Java is important for customizing ASYCUDA World. Knowledge of customs procedures and workflows is also important, and logical thinking and programming fundamentals. In some organizations, I've seen if there is a person who understands Java, but their knowledge of customs is not sufficient, they can also work with a functional person who has a very good understanding of customs procedures. So between the two of them, they can have teamwork and they solve whatever problems that need to be solved and customize the system. So the other important skill is business analysis and functional customization. Business analysts are also in charge of re-engineering business processes of the organization. And when a project is outsourced, like for example, for some single window projects, before development begins, there's a business analysis and the functional specifications would be produced from which the developers can then implement the changes required in the system. So this is very important because if you consider a driver, whether it was Michael Schumacher, a very good driver, if you give him the wrong destination, however good he drives, he's just going to take you to the wrong destination. So business analysis is very important in that it sets the targets, what we want to achieve, because if it's done wrong, it means when the system is implemented, we are going to get an incorrect system. So user support and training is also important. IT should also develop capacity to support their customs officers and external users using the system. In some organizations, they take super users, users that have a very good command of ASYCUDA World, and those users form a functional team which will provide the first line of support to external users or other customs officers. Because in some cases, when users come with problems, the issue might be that they do not know the procedures of how to implement or of how to do what they want to do. So the functional team, the user support team, they can assist with that. And also, if you have capacity within the organization to be able to train new users, it means even when there's skills turnover, some workers leave and others join, you can quickly train them without waiting for maybe booking a training program with the external vendors. So now I'll move to how to develop these capacities. So one way to develop capacity within our organizations is to partner with organizations such as UNCTAD, which all of you have done, and to access the official training programs, have the training information. But the other important thing is once you are trained, or if some of your representatives are trained by UNCTAD, let's have a training of the trainers program where we identify those high performing staff and we train them to become trainers. And then if there are any other local resources that need to be trained, we can use these local trainers to perform our training. I like the example of Vanuatu. For Vanuatu, whatever new system we provide for them, they make sure that the project team, they want to be trained so that they train the rest of their stakeholders. So this also increases ownership of the system. So we also have on-the-job mentoring and shadowing. For some agencies where UNCTAD consultants are there, you can have local staff that is paired with those consultants so that whatever they are doing, they shadow them and they learn from them. So this will expose them to real-world troubleshooting and programming. And if there's a willingness to learn, the consultants will delegate some tasks to them for them to also practice, and they guide them into developing their skills. So another thing which is important is knowledge management. We should also learn to institutionalize knowledge. via documentation, governance, or standard operating procedures. So the best way is to, some people I know, they do not want to document the procedures, or if they are super users, they do not want to document the procedures because they believe maybe if they share the knowledge, they will be replaceable within the organization. But if you fail to document your internal procedures, your processes, your business processes, it will be difficult also to maintain your systems. It's also good to have an internal code repository, for example, like GitLab, where you can store your source code that you have, your agency. So this will provide a single source of truth of whatever the source code is running in your live environments. And it's also good whenever errors are resolved to document what the issue was and how the error was fixed, so that in case it happens in the future, new staff can refer to your knowledge repository or your knowledge base to check how they can solve the problem. So this is also very important to build technical capacities. One other way that technical capacities can be built is by partnering with regional or local universities in ASYCUDA related training. I have seen some organizations like Oracle, they offer Java training, Java resources, mostly for free if a person wants to learn. So what this will do is, because it's free, it's available for free. When people learn, it creates a huge pool of resources that are able to manipulate their technology. So for us as customs organizations, that might also be another way that we can build capacity in the long term, to partner with universities. I've seen some institutions who, if let's say they are using the Java programming language predominantly within their organization, what they'll do, they would approach the universities in their country, partner with them and say, we are going to be offering incentives like awards to the best student for this course. So what that would do is students would put extra effort in that course so that they get the award. So in turn, that will also create a pool of people that they can employ in the future. And some ways that you can build capacities is by recognizing trained staff. Some staff might not be willing to share their knowledge or be a mentor to a junior staff without any remuneration. So some organizations, as a way to build capacities, they encourage mentoring within the organization by giving an allowance, an extra allowance to a senior officer who's mentoring a junior officer. So some capacity building initiatives also, they are also at the government level, whereby if governments, if they put policies or frameworks that promote adoption of ICTs, this will also help in building capacities. Bangladesh had a program called Youth Empowering Youth through ICT Training, and they trained 236,000 individuals in various ICT skills using this program. So the advantage was that with all these people, yes, you're not only training them for your organization, But when your organization does need extra resources, you have a pool that you can pick from. So the other way to build capacity and to motivate retention of staff is at times in most organizations, their remuneration model is that you earn more money if you are promoted to a senior position. So, but there are some people who are technical and they do not have the management and they do not have management skills or even do not have the will to be managers. But because the only way they'll get more remuneration is by promotion, they will accept the promotion. What this does also is if that was a person who was very good technically, by promoting him to a management position, you are also losing IT technical capacity by that person because he's no longer going to use it in that new position. So other organizations also, they have horizontal growth strategies whereby a staff member can continue to be remunerated more money at the same level, maybe with more responsibilities, but they continue doing the technical job which they are more good at. So another way to build capacity is regional collaboration, which most of you already do. So here you share expertise among Pacific Customs offices. You can also create technical working groups or centers of excellence to pool resources and develop common solutions. So the IT field, it was built upon biomimicry, which is to say that it was copying other fields. So most of the things that are in IT, you would find they were borrowed from other fields, especially from biology. So even in programming, you would find we have design patterns that were borrowed from civil engineers. So within the IT landscape, it's very flexible. You can also research on how other fields are building capacities that can also be applied to the IT environment. So I have a case study which is not customs related. It's the Department of Defense, the US Department of Defense. So the US Department of Defense, it helped to accelerate many foundational ICT innovations. Like the internet, the precursor of the internet came from the Department of Defense. Other technologies like GPS and cybersecurity protocols, cloud computing, advanced supply chain and logistics systems, they came from the Department of Defense. So how did they achieve this? So these innovations, they emerged from their emphasis on long-term investment. So long-term investment like partnering with universities, because this won't be something that will add value immediately. And also that mission-oriented innovation that they focused on national security problems that were affecting them. So at times, if you depend so much on donors, you'd find that the projects that you are going to work on should be projects that have been approved by the donors that they've agreed to fund. So in some cases, if you do not have funding for something that you know is important for your context, it means that project is not going to move without internal IT expertise. So public and private partnerships are also important, working with the universities and the tech sectors. So this is how the Department of Defense managed to drive innovation, which we all now enjoy. So what can Pacific Customs Authorities learn? We can learn to draw inspiration from them in having strategic self-sufficiency, local capacity building, which will allow us to direct our resources to context-specific challenges that we are facing. It will allow us to have resilient infrastructure, and it can promote regional collaboration. So like I said, IT is built on mimicking other fields. So when you look at these success stories from like the Department of Defense, it doesn't mean we have to replicate everything as it is, but we should also have our own mission-oriented technology development. So does building in-house ICT expertise make sense? For larger countries like Fiji, PNG, Solomon Islands, where they have lots of people, it makes sense also for them to build in-house technical capacity and possibly even export this expertise regionally to other partners, to other customs offices. For medium countries like Samoa, Tonga, Vanuatu, it might make sense to have a blend of core in-house teams and then have maybe regional support for other specialized functions that you cannot support within your organization. For smaller nations, it makes sense also for them to export, to use the regional or shared services model, or fully outsourcing ICT expertise, because for some of these countries, with the number of resources that they have, they might not be able to build enough capacity. But for most organizations, having 2 or 3 dedicated team members in-house would be sufficient to have the system running smoothly. So the goal is not just pursuing self-sufficiency just for the sake of it, but the goal is to keep control of key systems and also training national talent. If you have the time, the funds, the people, boosting your company's knowledge with in-depth training is an investment that you will never regret. If you collaborate with experts, you can also build in-house expertise by shadowing, which we mentioned, and mentorship programs. Because consultants, the main thing that they bring is a wealth of experience and offering external perspective on how you can improve your processes. But time and money are extremely valuable resources, and they can only be spent once. So understanding how to allocate them best is extremely important. Most organizations would build an enterprise architecture which outlines the current position that the organization is in, and also the desired state that the organization wants to be. So from the enterprise architecture, that's when you can build strategies of taking your organization from where they are to where you want to be. I remember, in closing, I'll say this. I remember someone was saying, it was a woman complaining, saying, my teenage son doesn't like to clean his room. So the person she was speaking with said to her, have you ever thought of something that your son, when he sees the room, he has no desire for it to change. So because he has no desire for it to change, he has no problem. A problem only exists if the current situation is different from the desired situation. That's where you have a problem. That's where a problem exists. And if a person sees it that way, then they are proactively going to look for solutions to it. So in closing, organizations should have a plan and see what works best for them to advance and to support their business processes. So I've come to the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, and the floor is open.
Thanks very much, Milton. I think that was very thought-provoking. I recognize some of this may be at a very broad level, at a government level, but policy kind of level. But nevertheless, these are pertinent things that we keep in mind as we progress in this journey. And I just want to also say that, this we went through like the agricultural revolution, the industrial revolution, and now the technological one, right? So it doesn't look like there is going to be a way going backwards. And we're really happy that we're working with customs in the Pacific and around the world to be, helping you keep pace with the development that's happening across the globe. I'm sure most of you cannot manage without your smartphone anymore. So similarly, we are progressing in a way that there is no going back on the digitalization of government services. So, and the retaining of every type of capacity related to this is very crucial and something that we should actively plan around. So, yeah, thank you, Milton. Maybe if there are questions, we're very happy to um, talk about it. And even if you just want to discuss some of the issues or challenges that you face, um, and maybe things that we can support your administrations with, that's also great. I know from the work that we do um, in this office, so we have different ways and means of developing capacity. When we started, before we launched ASYCUDA, we would have done a lot of the policy legislative related reviews and suggested amendments where it's necessary. But thereafter, the developing of SOPs, new business processes that were re-engineered, all of this was done, and that's your organizational development. So now it comes to, like Milton was talking about, the human capacity as well. So, and we continue to progress, right? Because technology hasn't yet stabilized. It continues to exponentially grow. So I think it's important for all of us to stay as updated and in line with these changes that are happening. And it's great that really customs is spearheading this digital change in all your countries. Maybe tax is also there, also has their own systems. But a lot of those agencies, and you would understand working with them, that it's a very different situation for them, how they manage their businesses. It's a lot more time consuming. They're not able to cater to uh, public demands as easily. Um, so yeah, it is. I'm sure these departments will also start looking to customs to emulate the way that you have re-engineered yourselves, rebranded yourselves, and become that point of or the role model, right? So anyway, um, I think there's a lot of very interesting points in Milton's presentation. Does anyone like to add anything or just provide any thoughts? Please feel free. You could just open your mics and speak, or if you like, you have questions, you can drop it in the chat box as well. I hope these sessions are being very useful for everyone. Please do uh, continue to message us and let us know what other topics we can add on to our webinar series. Okay, so maybe there's too much food for thought, and everyone's contemplating how to take these things forward. Oh, Julie, please, uh, welcome. Go ahead. Oh, okay, there's a question in the chat. There are some form of trainings to be certified ASYCUDA functional or technical person, like to obtain a certificate. Milton, you like to go ahead first?
So most of our trainings that we do, like functional training or technical training, we have the basic level and the advanced level. So we do offer certificates, UNCTAD certificates. We do offer them.
Yeah, so we do regularly have both types of trainings uh, and provide a certificate, but most of these trainings sometimes are short courses, but we have more in-depth courses. We have online e-learning platform where you can let us know if that's something you require. It has all the modules on it. It takes a little bit of time to do, but you can do it at your own pace. That gives you a very good certificate as well. In addition, we used to do fellowships, like 3-month fellowships, where we then provide a certificate of training after that. So there are different types of trainings that are available. And I'd encourage your administration to reach out to us and discuss if this is something that you all require, that we can absolutely provide that. But if it's just an individual thing, Julie, then I'd say maybe write to us and we'll give you access to our e-learning platform. Okay, thank you. I think maybe we call it a day. And I thank everybody for your participation. And we look forward to seeing you all at our next series as well. Thank you. Have a good day.